Before we start, everything you're about to hear is historically verified. We use AI only to bring history to life visually. The facts, the numbers, the human cost. All real, all sourced. This is HistoryBilled. August 1933. You are standing on the bank of a canal in Karelia. You are 34 years old. 2 years ago, you were an engineer in Leningrad. Good apartment, good salary. Party member since 1925. You believed? Now you are watching a steamboat move slowly through the water in front of you. On the deck, Joseph Stalin. He's smiling, waving. Behind him, writers, journalists, officials. All applauding. They are celebrating the opening of the White Sea Canal. 227 kilometers of waterway, built in 20 months. You helped build it, with a pickaxe in minus 40 degrees, on 400 grams of bread a day. You watch Stalin's boat disappear around the bend. You do not applaud. You are thinking about the men buried in the banks on either side of you, 25,000 of them. And you are thinking about one other thing, something nobody on that boat knows yet. The canal is too shallow for most ships to pass through. It was useless before it was finished. To understand how you ended up on that riverbank, go back to Leningrad. 1931, you are Alexei Petrov, engineer, builder, Soviet citizen. You design bridges and industrial structures. You are good at your job. You joined the Communist Party at 25 because you believed in what the Soviet Union was trying to become. Industrialization. Progress. A modern state built by the people, for the people. You have a wife named Natasha, a son named Misha, 4 years old, a 2-room apartment on Nevsky Prospect. By Soviet standards, a good life. At work, you're careful. You say the right things. You attend the right meetings. You sign the right documents. But sometimes, in private, you wonder if the plans are realistic. You never say this out loud. You think you never say it out loud. June 14th, 1931, 3 in the morning. A knock at the door. Not a knock, a fist. 2 men from the NKVD longcoats. Expressionless faces. You have 5 minutes to get dressed. Natasha stands in the doorway of the bedroom. She does not speak. She knows that speaking will not help. Little Misha wakes up and starts to cry. You tell him you will be back soon. You do not know if that is true. The charges: anti-Soviet agitation, sabotage of the 5-year plan. Your colleague at work, the one you sometimes ate lunch with, wrote a report. He said you expressed doubt about production quotas. You did. Once, in a whispered conversation over soup. A 3-man tribunal reviews your case. It takes 10 minutes, 10 years. You're not allowed to speak in your defense. You are on a train north before the week is out. The train stops somewhere in Karelia. You have been traveling for 4 days. The doors open. Cold hits you like a wall. November, minus 30. You step onto frozen ground in the shoes you left home in. Around you, forest as far as you can see. Black trees, white sky, nothing else. The camp appears through the trees. High wooden fence, barbed wire on top. Guard towers at each corner. Armed men watching from above. Inside the gate, a row of long, low barracks. Gray wood darkened by frost and age. Mud between them frozen solid. No grass, no color, nothing growing. You are given a number, not a name. A number, it goes on your chest. Inside the barracks, wooden bunks 3 levels high, a thin straw mattress, 1 blanket, a stove in the middle that barely reaches the far end of the room. On the wall above the bunks, a portrait of Stalin, smiling. 140 men sleep in this room. It was built for 50. That night, lying on the boards, you try to calculate how many days 10 years is. 3,650. You stop counting. The project is called the White Sea Canal. Stalin's idea. A waterway connecting the White Sea in the north to Lake Onega in the south. 227 kilometers, to be built in 20 months. The Panama Canal, 80 kilometers, took 28 years. Stalin gives you 20 months. The tools, pickaxes, shovels, wooden wheelbarrows, no machinery, no imported equipment, nothing that costs money. Just you, and 100,000 others exactly like you. Your daily quota, 2.5 cubic meters of rock and frozen earth, by hand. If you meet your quota, you receive 800 grams of bread. If you do not, 400 grams. 400 grams is not enough to keep a man alive who is swinging a pickaxe in minus 40 degrees. You learn this quickly. The men who cannot meet their quota begin to shrink. You watch it happen, day by day, the body consuming itself. The prisoners call them dochodyagi, the goners, walking dead. You are an engineer. The camp commanders know this. They pull you aside in the third week. They need someone who can calculate drainage gradients and lock dimensions. You do the calculations. This is what saves your life. While other men break their backs on the frozen ground, you work with a pencil. You're not grateful. You are ashamed. August 2nd, 1933. The canal is finished. 20 months. On schedule. Stalin is pleased. A group of 120 writers and artists is brought to the canal to witness the opening. Maxim Gorky, the most famous writer in the Soviet Union, is among them. They sail the length of the canal on a steamboat. They write about the triumph of Soviet labor, the rehabilitation of class enemies through honest work. 36 of them publish a book about it. The book calls the Gulag a factory for reforging human souls. You stand on the bank and watch the steamboat pass. You have been here for 20 months. You have watched men die of starvation, of cold, of exhaustion, of random violence from guards who had their own quotas to meet. You do not feel reforged. You feel like a man who survived something that should not have existed. Here is what nobody on that steamboat says. The canal is 12 feet deep. Most Soviet cargo ships need 18 feet. The canal was built to the wrong specifications because Stalin demanded speed over engineering. Because nobody dared tell Stalin that his timeline was impossible without cutting corners. Because you, the engineer who knew, were standing in a labor camp with a pickaxe when the plans were being drawn. The canal that cost 25,000 lives immediately fails at its primary purpose. It will carry light boats, timber, small vessels. By 1940, it carries less than half the traffic it was designed for. The Soviet government quietly stops mentioning it. The book written by the writers, the one celebrating the triumph of Soviet labor, is destroyed in 1937. Even the propaganda cannot survive contact with the truth. Now let's add up the bill. The White Sea Canal, one project, one of hundreds. 25,000 dead, a canal too shallow for ships. But zoom out. The Gulag system ran from 1929 to 1953. 18 million people passed through it. Between 1.5 and 1.7 million died inside the camps. At its peak, 1.5 million people imprisoned simultaneously. The system produced 60% of Soviet gold, 40% of its cobalt, 76% of its tin. The cities of Magadan, Vorkuta, Norilsk, built entirely by prisoner labor, still inhabited today. And the cost? The Gulag was not profitable. By 1948, the Ministry of Internal Affairs was requesting state subsidies to keep the camp system running. The slave empire needed a bailout. Stalin had built an economic system so brutal and so irrational that it could not pay for itself. 18 million people, millions of lives destroyed, for a system that lost money. You are released in 1941, 10 years, served in full. You are 44 years old. You look 60. You return to Leningrad. Natasha is still there. Misha is 14. He does not recognize you at the door. You do not talk about where you were, not because you are ashamed, but because you cannot find the words, and because talking is still dangerous. 3 months after your release, Germany invades the Soviet Union. You are conscripted immediately. The country that imprisoned you for 10 years now needs you to die for it. You think about refusing. You go anyway. Alexei Petrov dies outside Leningrad in the winter of 1943, not in a labor camp, on a battlefield, defending the city where he was arrested. He was 46 years old. He never learned that the canal he helped build was considered a failure within 7 years of its opening. He never learned that the colleague who reported him was himself arrested in 1937 and sent to Kolyma. He never learned that the system that destroyed his life was officially declared unprofitable and asked the state for money to keep running. He just worked and was arrested and worked again and died. Today, the White Sea Canal still exists. It carries light river traffic, mostly tourist boats in summer. 25,000 people are buried in its banks. The canal is still too shallow for large ships. Nothing has changed about that. Was it worth it? 18 million people, a system that lost money, a canal that didn't work. You tell me. Leave your answer below. And if you want more stories where history gets a price tag, subscribe to HistoryBilled. Every war has a price tag. This one was paid in lives.